25, 40, run, William, run! He's got blockers in front, 5, touchdown! Joshua Cribbs! Snap back, ball down, kick block! They block the kick!
This is the Orange is Oranger Browns podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network. I am your host, Chase Smith, and with me, as always, Browns insider Jeremy Powell. Jeremy, you survived the whatever happened in Cleveland Brown Stadium. What was going on, man?
The first 90 seconds of the game was the most intense windstorm I've ever seen. It literally only lasted 2 to 3 minutes, but it was crazy. So let me tell you this real quick before we get into anything. A construction barrel blew into the stadium. You know the big rubber part on the bottom of the construction barrels holds them in place?
Yeah.
It blew in through the entrance right next to where I was sitting in the City Club and hit somebody. I'm not kidding.
Oh my god!
It hit somebody. Yeah, and then that's right when they ordered everybody out of the bowl. But it was like all of a sudden through the one open end directly next to the City Club, a bunch of the wind was blowing so hard that stuff was just flying in. It was insane. We were actually sitting, I wasn't in my normal seats today. We were sitting right in front of where Jimmy D calls the games from. Me and Hunter actually waved and said hi to him for a couple seconds. So it was right in front of him. And then just everything went crazy for 90 seconds and then it was over. It was I don't know if it was a mini tornado, I don't know any, I'm not a meteorologist, but it was crazy. But yeah, there was literally debris, stuff flying everywhere. It was nuts. It was insane. Insane.
I'm in Columbus, and at around 12 o'clock, that same exact thing happened in Columbus. We were leaving church, and we went to a gas station to get some drinks for lunch. And when I walked from my car to the gas station, it was the most intense, 90 seconds. It was insane. It was insane. So I don't know if it traveled that fast north, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Well, we're glad you're okay. And with us as well, she watched the game from the comforts of our own home, nice and cozy, doing her work. She is our favorite and your favorite Emmy-nominated digital content producer at News Channel 5, Camryn Justice. Camryn, 6-3.
6-3, man. This is wild. I did watch it from the comfort of my home, but I won't say that it was comfortable because, breaking news, you got to cover the Browns and you got to cover this crazy storm. So that was wild. That was the whole thing was insane. That game was added stress because of the weather for different reasons for me, but still, oh man, I can't imagine being up there in that. So
it was nuts.
I'm glad you survived, Jeremy. It looked pretty rough.
Thank you. It's funny because Hunter's, he's a tough kid. He was scared. He's I covered him up when it first started happening, and he was like, "Can we go back into the club?" It's like, all right. So we went back inside, and then it was gone. As quick as it came, it was gone, and it was still a windy, crazy day. And sure. I've never heard a flag make that much noise because we were actually probably 25 yards from the giant flag, and it was kind of eerie how loud that flag was. Probably 75% of the game.
It's crazy. Violent. It was so violent. That's
exactly.
The only word I can describe it.
It was a violent flapping. It was it was just insane. But violent. Hey, and then I don't know if you heard Stefanski after the game saying that was the windiest game he's ever been a part of at any level ever. He's just said it was just insane on the field.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you're okay. And the stress, Camryn, well worth it because the Browns are Cleveland Browns. Your Cleveland Browns are 6-3. Let's get things started with 5 hot minutes with Jeremy Powell. Jeremy, go.
Yeah, so something I have to address before I get to what I really want to talk about. I'm so sick. I'm scrolling through feeds and, various social media platforms, and I keep seeing, oh, it was an ugly win, but I'll take it. Wait a minute. There's no such thing as an ugly win when you go to 6-3. There's no such thing as an ugly win in a violent windstorm, okay? You won by accentuating your strengths. You had your two-headed monster back. It came out to play. You dominated on the ground. You made first downs when you had to make first downs. When there was nothing lucky about this win for the Browns, there was nothing ugly about this win for the Browns. That's how you're going to win games, and especially in Northeast Ohio on a violent lake with a violent windstorm during the game, okay? That was a beautiful win. There was nothing ugly about that win. The second thing I have to talk about, this is what we envisioned earlier in the season before the Wyatt Teller injury, before the Nick Chubb injury. This is exactly it. I think we talked about earlier in the season, the Browns having 2 players rush for 100 yards in a game. I didn't know till today that Kevin Mack and Ernest Biner had never done it. So this is the first time in 50 years that the Browns have had 2 running backs go over 100 yards in a game. And it was a thing of beauty. You stick with what you do well. I know at halftime we only had, I think, 65 yards between the two, but you stick with the ground game, because when you're beating on your opponent like that in that weather, they had 9 in the box, didn't matter. They wore them down. That big offensive line wore them down. And that is how the Browns are going to win games, especially on the lakefront, especially with the weather. It's exactly how a team in Northeast Ohio that plays on Lake Erie should be able to play. You should be able to impose your will on teams, especially in the second half, especially in weather. It was a beautiful thing to see. And Nick Chubb, we have talked so many times, and I know people are probably sick of hearing it, how he is the ideal teammate, he is the ideal leader, and he is intelligent, obviously a smart player on top of all of it, but just the headiness and the selflessness of him to run out of bounds at the 1 yard line on that last play, ensuring a victory and ensuring that our defense would not have to go back on the field. You know, part of it is, yes, we don't give him a chance to score twice, but part of it is risking injury. Okay. If you go out, he scores there, they get the ball. Who knows what happens with Deshaun Watson running around? You got Miles back on the field. You have guys risking injury. The more you're on the field, the more opportunity for injury. So not only did it preserve the win in the game right there, preserved possible players. Now I know that Kevin Stefanski said going into the play they have a tag that they add, which is no moss. And he said, Kevin Stefanski said, no moss means don't score. It means after you get the first down, go down. So he was alerted to do it. But when you break free like that and you're running down the sideline and there's no one near you, to step out at the 1 yard line, just add it to the laundry list of exceptional things that Nick Chubb does and has done for the Cleveland Browns. And now you have Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt back. If we can keep this rolling for the rest of the season, who knows where it'll lead, but it's a beautiful thing. What do you guys think?
I'm sure we'll talk about that Nick Chubb run a lot in this episode. But Jay, I want to ask, what feeds were you scrolling through? Because we know you don't have a lot of feeds right now, man. Like what were you looking at?
Instagram and Facebook. Look,
okay.
I'm in all kinds, as you know. No, I'm not on Twitter. Stop. I don't even go on. I haven't even logged in months. But on Facebook, so as you know, we are involved in all those Browns groups from the thing. So I was just going through all the little Browns groups on Facebook. And I saw so much. That was not an ugly win. And I understand that people love offense, you know, and people love the passing game. But that was a win that was built in the offseason, when you built your offensive line, when you built your running game, when you re-signed Kareem Hunt, when you give him the extension. That's where that win was built. The ability to play in those elements and impose your will on your opponent at the end of games. Look, what was that last drive? We started at the 4 yard line, right after Peoples-Jones bumbled the thing again. Yeah. Right. And then we end at the 1 yard line with all runs again, just like the Cincinnati Bengal game earlier this year.
Yep.
When you end the game imposing your will on people, there is nothing ugly about that. That is a beautiful win.
Camryn, I want to get to you in just a moment, because I'm looking at your keys to the game, and I feel like we did a pretty good job. So just one moment. There was a moment in that game, Jeremy and Camryn, the Texans are driving. Deshaun somehow is sacked, but stays up and throws a dime for a first down. And then he's feeling it, and they score a touchdown, and there's 4 minutes left. And you're like, oh my gosh, I've seen this play out before for the Cleveland Browns. And then we botch the kickoff because of the wind. And you're like, yep, this is like, we have seen this 1,000 times. And it just felt like, oh my gosh, like I've seen this movie before. I just wanted to fast forward to the end where I was upset. And they didn't lose, guys. They had the Browns game in front of them and they overcame that. That's crazy, Camryn. Like, were you like, oh my gosh, this is like old Browns are back? Did that cross your mind?
Case that always crosses my mind.
Right.
Every single time that there's a bad play, a botched play, something crazy happens, I'm like, this is it. Browns are back. Old Browns are back. It
was three things: the missed sack, the touchdown, 2 Texans guys ran in the same route, and we still couldn't cover it. Like 2 exact players ran the same route, and then the botched, like the botched kickoff. Yep. I was like, this. We have got and I couldn't believe they won, Camryn. I really couldn't believe they pulled it out.
I was watching it the whole time. And, it's like you're on the edge of your seat. It wasn't like a very exciting game because.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think that's true.
No, I'm like score wise, it was 3-0 for 90% of the game. Like, I mean, it's not very exciting. Not to say that the game wasn't exciting, didn't get exciting, but like that, you look at the score and then you look at how that score progressed throughout the quarters, you would think like, okay, this is not, edge of your seat football. But the whole time I'm just a nervous wreck because it was so close and because like nothing was happening for so long. And you just like, all I wanted, watching that game was you get the ball to Nick Chubb. Nothing's really happening. They kept running it on first down. It wasn't working. Everyone you saw on social media was calling for Stefanski to stop running it on first down, throw the ball. And it was so funny because there was just that moment where like Nick Chubb, the rust just fell off. And it was like, okay, never mind. Don't run. Don't throw the ball.
Straight runs.
Keep giving it to Nick Chubb.
I feel like the rust kind of came off on that touchdown run. He had a great cutback. And you're like, oh, Chubb's back. Jeremy, did you feel the momentum shift on that Texans drive for the touchdown?
Well, yes. And then we go back to that play. So Rodney Harrison was on a blitz. He actually got held, or he would have got to him, and that play never happens. But Rodney Harrison got held, but then he gets through. Then he gets a hold of him, and sheer luck, Deshaun Watson just throws it up. And did you see on that play also, Denzel Ward fell down? If Denzel Ward
was covering a guy over there, and he tried to get over to the open guy, and he slipped because no one was around him. So he was covering a guy.
Right. It was just it was just one of those plays that you're right. It's like, here we go again. We've got like Browns PTSD, from all these years of all this happening. So that's like the first thing you think is, here we go again.
I didn't flinch. And
you're right.
Even
I did though. I
didn't even blink. I was like,
oh yeah. I was like, this same old Browns. I looked at Hunter and I said, I think we know how this show ends.
Yeah.
But no, it didn't exactly, which is the point. It didn't. And for the second time this year, we seal a game with all run plays for with our two stud backs imposing their will on a defense, something that I don't think we've ever seen in our lifetimes, right? I mean, maybe a little bit Peyton Hillis year, but we still stunk that year. So we've not seen anything like this, and it's beautiful, and I love it. And it's the exact kind of football you have to play this time of year in this city. You have to be able to at least play this kind of football.
Camryn, and your keys to the game, you said the first thing we have to do is contain Deshaun Watson. I say that was a check. Myles Garrett had half of a sack and 2 tackles for loss, was more of a presence than just that. You said we need to spread the ball around and run the damn ball. And, I think we tried to spread the ball around as much as we could with 50 miles per hour winds, but Camryn, you nailed it. You had the outline. You were in the Stefanski meetings. You were in there. Like, that was 3 for 3, girl.
I'll take a front office job. That's fine.
Yeah, well, it was an incredible game. Your Cleveland Browns are 6-3. The Texans are a little feisty. Deshaun Watson, I thought, played fairly well. He just doesn't have any help on defense. And the Browns come away with the home victory. They're home again for game against Sunday. All right, week 10 is in the books. Your Cleveland Browns 10, Texans 7. Let's go over some stats, game recap here. Baker, 12 for 20. 132 yards, but more importantly, no interceptions. You're kind of waiting for that forced throw, for that overthrow, or for that bad decision, and he didn't make those bad decisions. He checked down when he needed to. He threw it away when he needed to. Baker, I feel like, played a really, really, really good game. Chubb, this is the story right here. This is the lead. Chubb, 19 attempts, 126, 1 touchdown, 6.6 average. Most of it came on that last second run. Almost should have scored, didn't. As Jeremy mentioned, the no Moss call there. Hunt, 19 for 104, a much harder earned 104 for 5.5 yards per carry. Rashard Higgins led the team with 4 targets, 3 for 48 throughout the game. Landry had 5 targets. Landry had 5, but that was mostly a couple in the first drive, 3 for 29. What is that? The third unsportsmanlike conduct he's had this year that's killed like field position?
That one was so stupid too. It was first quarter of the game. Why are you spiking the ball in someone's face? Like I didn't get it. I don't get it.
This isn't the first time it's happened, Camryn.
No, I don't know. I know that was taunting. I see how they called it, but I also I would think that was more of a celebration than a taunt. It was uncalled for. I don't think that's not the time to celebrate necessarily. Like, it's not like you're, it was a game-changing play. It was a big big first down, but it wasn't.
We had to punt. I think he had one against the Cowboys. I can't remember. I felt like there's been a couple
He did
times.
have another. He's had a couple taunting because I think you're right. I think one was against Cowboys, and I agree with Camryn. You know what? I don't think it's that big a deal if it's like after a touch up for a first down at your own 25-yard line, and then you're back half the distance to the. I don't know. And I love Jarvis. Everybody knows that. I love how he plays with passion. I just didn't understand that particular one, I guess.
Myles Garrett, we mentioned a half a sack, which Sheldon Richardson got the other half. I don't know. Have you guys heard like the mic'd up where I think he and him were talking against the Washington football team where Sheldon's like, yo, give me that half sack. And Myles
nope.
Well, here they got it again. He had one huge tackle for loss, fourth down on the Deshaun Watson boot. That was huge. One of the plays of the game. And I'm going to say this. I love Rodney Harrison Jr. I think when he is in the game, he makes plays. He's a ball hawk. And our secondary is different when he's back there. It just seems more put together. I don't feel like there's as many misassignments. And I don't know. I just think that was an incredible trade. I'm a big Rodney Harrison fan. Cammy, we know your story went viral a little bit earlier at the start of the season. You're a big Harrison fan too, right?
Yeah, he's a great guy and a great player, obviously. Just been waiting for him to, get that time out on the field because he really makes an impact and you see it every week, more and more every week. So I think that he's just, continuing to develop and to thrive in this system. And it's really great to see.
And he's missed a couple plays too. Against the Raiders, he dropped a pick six. Against the Colts, he, did have a pick six, but dropped another
one. Yeah.
Yep. Camryn, what's a silver lining from this 10-7 victory over the Houston Texans?
Silver lining, and I think I've used this one before, but again, because this was a weird game with weird weather, no injuries out of this game. We stayed intact, which was really big. Coming with all these guys coming back, you get Wyatt Teller back, you get Nick Chubb back. Myles Garrett looked fresh from that knee and ankle injury, and no one left the game. So that was my silver lining. It's like with the wetness of the field, the way those winds were blowing, the craziness of that game, that could have gone a lot differently. So silver linings is that we came out intact and the Browns are still healthy.
A win is a win and everyone's healthy. And I'm sure they were happy in the locker room post game. Jeremy, silver linings you got there, bro.
Okay, so we proved we can win a game where we didn't score more than 30 points, which I love. The fact that we figured out a way to grind out a win in the bad weather. This was the first time this year the Browns have scored between 6 and 30 points. How crazy is that, right?
Yeah.
They are over between. Yeah. So it was nice to win a game that wasn't a shootout, that was this kind of game, to show that we can do it. And obviously having Chubb back was a big part of that. But yeah, I think a silver lining is we proved we can win a grind them out game, and our defense proved they can, even with the weather given on the assist, Deshaun Watson is still an electric playmaker who can beat you with his feet and his arm. So the fact that, like in Camryn's keys to the game, we were able to keep him in check. Myles Garrett had a lot to do that. I don't know if you guys noticed this at home. It was probably hard to notice at home if you weren't live at the game. Myles set out a lot of first downs. Myles would be out for first and even sometimes second, but say we had a negative play on first, so it went to second and 11, he would come in. So I don't know if that's like a new strategy to keep him fresh throughout the game as early downs, maybe have him on the sideline. But Myles was out a lot of early downs, and maybe that's I mean, it looked like it worked today, right? He played great and made some big plays on later downs. So interesting thing. But those two things to me, Myles Garrett, the Browns defense winning a game that was a grind them out game where they had to make stops and had to have, wasn't a shootout.
And to that point, Jay, one of the things I noticed against the Raiders, now look, I'm not a football coach. I'm just a fan watching the game. He would over pursue the quarterback and they would run his way and they would just kind of run by him. I don't know if Myles is really known for his run stopping ability. Obviously he's an elite pass rusher. And so maybe there is some kind of like, well, hey, let's save his legs. Let's, kind of help everyone around here.
Like our buddy Greg Williams said, playing defensive line in the NFL is like getting into 70 fist fights inside a phone booth in 3 hours because every single play is so intense. So you have to get these guys, even the star guys. You see the same with Von Miller. You see Von Miller take a series, every third series off. You have to stay fresh. And so you are, for the big moments in the game are the big third downs. You are fresh for those because it is, no matter how great a shape you're in, it doesn't matter because it's just that, that intense.
Greg Williams said a lot of things, Jay. So
He said a lot of great. Listen, he was a nutcase, but he said he had some quotable quotes. Let's just say.
Sure. Hey, what about this silver lining? Our O line is back. We hadn't seen that kind of domination since Teller went out, and I think that's really, really, no pun intended, telling on how important of a cog he is in the line. Able to, he was pulling, and he's way more athletic than Hubbard was. Which hope he's okay, COVID. But having him back and Chubb was just the dynamic punch that we needed to reclaim that identity of the strong run game on the ground. And what better game to do it, Camryn, than 30, 40 degrees, 50 miles per hour winds.
Oh yeah, Cleveland weather game. That's when you establish it. That's when you got to look like this. And they don't play as well as you would assume they would in weather. But the fact that they were able to do that and show like, here we are. We're in Cleveland. This is November. This is what the team's supposed to look like. This is how we're supposed to establish our offense. That's super promising. And Wyatt Teller, like I said, we've been talking about Nick Chubb coming back, but Wyatt Teller, huge piece to what we've seen.
Remember now, I know he's not, we're not sending him to Canton just yet, but he was the highest rated guard in 20 years according to PFF when he got hurt. Through the first 5 games, he was the highest rated guard in whatever, as long as they've been doing it. So if he wasn't just playing good, he was playing unbelievably good when he went down. And it looks like he may, haven't looked closely at it, but it looks like he may have picked up right where he left off.
Yeah. I want to talk about one more silver lining, and this has to do with the Chubb second run. Could there be a more important momentum, team building, rallying cry, rallying play, signature play than what we just witnessed at the end of that game? You want to talk about bringing a team together to give them identity to, hold each other accountable in that exact attitude than what Nick Chubb just showed us at that game. If you didn't watch the game, here's what happened. We have the ball on the 35-yard line. There's 50 seconds left. And it's second or third down. Chubb kicks it outside.
3rd and 4.
It's 3rd and 4. Tiptoes the sideline and busts it all the way wide open to the end zone. There's no one within 10 yards around him. The announcers assumed he's going to score, and Chubb goes out of bounds at the 1-yard line. Gives the Browns a first down with 40 seconds left. We kneel it. Game over. They mauled Chubb after the game. It was an awesome scene. That brings a TEAM team together. Yep. That brings a team together, and a team that has had a lot of narratives of OB me and OBJ and all these other me people on the team. This is something that is contagious. It could be a spark that, hey, I want to do that. I want to follow in Chubb's lead. Maybe it's, I don't know what repercussions or how this would show itself in the locker room, in the weight room, in the film room, and the locker room, on the field. But that's something that you want to be like. That's a player you want to go to battle for. That's someone that you want on your team, and you will do whatever you can because you want to follow in that lead. I think that is a huge moment. And I think we're going to look back at this season. That's going to be one of the plays we're going to see played over and over again as the epitome of Nick Chubb, but also, hey, this is who the Browns are.
Well, the Browns have been trying to establish that for themselves all season. They've been talking about it. They've all been trying to say, this is who we want to be. We want anything to win, anything to help our team. And they've been preaching that. But this is the moment where you got to see it in action and see it defined of what this team's mentality really is, and really see that, yes, they are about winning. It's not just about, it is one game at a time, but it's the bigger picture of making this franchise a winning franchise. And you saw it right there in that moment with Nick Chubb. And he couldn't have gotten any more higher praise from the players after the game. Everyone from Myles Garrett, Sheldon Richardson, Joel Bitonio. I mean, Kevin Stefanski called him the smart, tough guys we want to have on our teams. Those are the kinds of players that you want. So yeah, that move was just, It's exactly what you've seen the Browns trying to describe themselves as in one single play. And it was really good to see that come to fruition and to see the embodiment of this mentality they've been talking about all season long.
It didn't trend long because a few hours later, the Cardinals had a Hail Mary, the jump man Hail Mary. So it's off, like, people forget they're off Chubb. They're on Hopkins, as they should. Jeremy, you're a football coach. What would that do to a team, that kind of play, man?
Well, look, we've been talking for how long about the Browns developing an identity. We have not had an identity in years, and that's been kind of part of what's been missing. Well, the Browns have an identity now. And Stefanski talked about it after the game. He said the great thing about Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt is they both care more about the team than anything else. They care about doing what it takes for the team to win. And that illustrated it right there. The way Hunt ran today, it was almost like and I think Mary Kay touched on this in the press conference, almost like they pushed each other and they have like a friendly competition going on between them. But it's just they both care more about the team. And maybe, just maybe, with Stefanski and Andrew Berry and these guys, the Browns have finally develop that identity that we've been waiting to see. And this, like you said, could be a big part of that going forward.
I love it. I think we're going to see the positive effects of this for weeks and weeks to come. Let's give out some game balls, Jeremy. Who gets your game ball for the 10-7 victory over the Texans?
Well, I mean, it's so obvious, right, who it has to be, but I'll leave that for you guys. I'll say Myles Garrett, because we said the key coming into the game, like Camryn said, her keys were slowing down, at least slowing down Deshaun Watson. Well, they did more than that. They shut him down. And a big part of that was Myles Garrett. So I'll give Myles Garrett my game ball.
Myles Garrett, game ball. Good job by you. Camryn, who you giving the game ball to?
Listen, I'm going to save the obvious one for you, Chase. Save the best for last. I know who you got to give it to if I don't say his name. So I'm going to give my ball to Wyatt Teller. He set up major blocks, opened up the holes for the run game for both Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. He was a really big key that the Browns have been missing for the past couple weeks, and it was really good to see him back out there. He just had to shake the rust off a little bit, but once he got back in his groove, it was right where he picked up, like Jeremy said. So Wyatt Teller, good for you, coming back strong. O-line needed your help. You got the job done. Establish that run game. Love to see it. Game ball goes to you.
Good job, Wyatt Teller. Welcome back. So fine. The obvious game ball is going to the pigeon that was at the 20-yard line. Just kidding.
Hunter asked me about that. Hunter's like, is there a bird on the field, Dad? I'm like, yes, son, there is.
Also in the running could be Jarvis Landry's shoe flag that the announcers thought was a flag. Not the case. Yeah. Obviously, Nick Chubb gets a game ball here. Popping off 19 rushes, 126 yards, fresh off a 6-week IR stay with a partially torn meniscus. Does that sound right or something? I forget the official kind of injury.
Just a sprained MCL.
A sprained MCL. Man, Nick Chubb looking great, getting the fans excited. Nick Chubb game ball. We got Myles Garrett, Wyatt Teller, and Nick Chubb game balls for Week 10 victory, 10-7. Over the Houston Texans. I want to do a new segment to the show here with our recaps. It's a blueprint for the playoffs. Now look, usually around this time we do like a mock draft, like looking ahead to the draft kind of segment, but not the case. Currently we're recording. It just turned Tuesday morning. We're recording really, really late Monday night. A week or so out from Thanksgiving. Let's look ahead to the playoffs. The Browns are 6-3. I'm going to read kind of the action from the week in the NFL, the slate, and then we're going to talk about what we need to happen and who we need to be rooting for in the weeks ahead. We're going to do this for our preview show as well, but let's talk about what happened today. A lot of confusion happened today, guys. Here we go. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams at 6-3 in the AFC. Here they go. Yep. The Colts beat the Titans today. The Colts are 6-3. The Titans are 6-3. We beat the Colts. Remember, we play the Titans here in a few weeks. That's a big game. We have the tiebreaker over the Colts unless they win their division. The Raiders beat the Broncos. That is not good for us because the Raiders beat us a couple weeks ago. They are 6-3. The Dolphins beat the Chargers. They are 6-3, which gets me excited because I have some capital down on the Dolphins to win the division. I got them at a long shot, and I'm really excited before they started Tua. Dolphins are 6-3. The Ravens, the Ratbirds, tonight, Sunday Night Football, lost to the Patriots. They are 6-3. The Steelers won. They're in the driver's seat for the AFC North Division title. Ravens, all of a sudden, don't look as tough as they did last year.
And they're
Camryn,
ravaged with injury.
Yeah, Camryn, how are you feeling about the Browns' playoff chances?
Well, they're looking better every week. They went from 48% chance of making the playoffs to this win put them at 55%. So we're just moving on up. And the more games they win, the better chance they have. Now, if they beat the Ravens, I think they will. I thought that before, but now watching this, I really think they have a chance of beating them at home. So, I mean, you just keep climbing. You just keep climbing. Your percentage chances just keeps growing. So right now I'm feeling pretty confident that the Browns have a solid shot at making the playoffs for the first time that I can remember because I was too young.
Jeremy, how do you feel about the Browns playoff chances?
Well, it's sort of funny. So a very prominent friend of mine, who I won't say who, sent me the standings that you were reading off a little bit ago. And it's like, man, I'm worried. Look at all these 6-3 teams. I'm like, look, as Al Davis would say, just win, baby. Let the rest of this will fall into place. If we just do our part and win our games, we will be all right. Yes, it's fun to scoreboard watch. Yes, it's fun to see what teams need to win where. But the number one thing is take care of your own business. Just win. Go forward, win as many games as possible, and the rest will take care of itself.
Getting into the playoffs at the wild card spot, we would play probably one of the lower division champions. I don't think we would play another wild card team, right? Or
well, how we're doing it this year, there's 3 buys, right? Because
Okay.
there's 7 teams making it. So there's 3 buys. So there's a chance, depending upon where, if we finish, like, say, the 5 seed, we would play one of the wild cards.
man,
Now,
can
if
you
you
imagine
finish,
playing Baltimore?
I would love, well, if we can get that 5 seed, it would be a home game. So
That's what
why
I said a couple
wrote-
weeks ago, and you guys laughed at me.
Yeah, if we get the 5 seed, it's a home game. So the
Oh
5
my
seed is where
God.
ideally we would want to be. But yeah, so the
They would have to
3
let more fans in. They would have to
the
say,
3
"Hey, here's 25,000 fans." They would have
there's
to.
the 3 division
gosh.
winners with the best records all get a bye, and then you have 4 versus 7 and 5 versus 6.
Jeremy, I'm
So
going to
that's
put
how
you
it's
on the
gonna
spot.
work.
Would you take me, or would you take Hunter?
You
You have to choose me or your son.
listen,
No, I'm just messing. Don't do that.
No, listen. I would just pay a couple grand and get 4 tickets.
Oh my gosh.
So it'll all work out.
Oh
Hey,
my God.
Camryn, you working that day or what? You coming?
Listen, of course. I've been covering these games from home, but you get me in a playoff situation, credential me up, baby. I'm on my way.
You know, if we all have to hit a game up at some point, and what better
Oh, yeah, for
time
sure.
than a home playoff game at
Playoffs,
First
huh?
Energy Stadium? Oh my gosh, Jay, on my memories today, or this weekend, is this time last year, the Steelers game.
Yeah,
that
it was
we,
actually this exact. Wasn't it this? Oh no, it
I
was
think it was the
yesterday.
14th or something like that.
Okay, yeah. The first time we went to a game together, and look what happened.
That was great. So, Jeremy, what Camryn kind of gave us the projected percentage. What percentage would you give us making the playoffs right now? Just the Jeremy percentage.
Just based on what we have left, the schedule we have left, which is obviously favorable, I'm going to say 60-40 we make it. 60% that the Browns make the playoffs. I am right now.
Wow. Man, do you guys even want to know my percentage?
You're probably gonna say 95.
100%, baby. That's freaking go.
I didn't think we did bold predictions on this segment.
Right?
No, I'm feeling so good. I think running the ball is an incredible recipe for winter football, especially in Cleveland.
Stay healthy, baby.
Yep. So I'm feeling good about that. Hey, do you know what else I'm feeling good about? The people that listen to this podcast, they are awesome. So thank you so much for listening and giving us a couple hours every single week for your game recaps and your game previews, however you listen, or for even why you listen. Thank you so much. We do this, 1, because we love the Browns, 2, because we like talking to each other, but 3, because we want you to have the best quality Browns content you can. So thank you so much for downloading and listening. If you can help us out, we're trying to get 5,000 followers on Twitter. We got like 4.4 right now. But once we get to 5,000 followers, we can then follow more people, which hopefully will help with some, just open up some more possibilities for us. If you guys could help us out, give us a shout or just give us a follow on Twitter. I'm trying to get over 5,000 followers. Camryn, any final thoughts?
No, other than just, listeners should follow us on Twitter and check out our great coverage. I mean, if you're listening, you might as well follow on Twitter.
That's right.
And no better time to do it than on a Victory Monday.
That's right.
Get that wine ready,
It's now-
Camryn. Victory Monday.
It's now officially Victory Monday.
It is Victory Monday.
I've got the wine ready. I've got a brand new Victory Monday shirt. It's a great time.
Woo!
Everything's awesome. I cannot wait to go to sleep just so I can wake up and
Yeah.
enjoy my day.
Yeah. Tomorrow it's Daddy-Daughter Day over here at the Smith House. So everyone's looking forward to that. Jeremy, final thoughts, brother.
Yeah, yo, just enjoy it, baby. Enjoy the ride. Each game, every week. Don't take it for granted. This is fun. And now that we've reestablished our dominance on the ground, I think it's going to be a lot of fun going forward. So
We
go
play
Browns.
the Eagles coming up next. We'll hit
Yes.
you guys at the end of the week for a preview episode. Until then, you guys have a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll catch you then.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
Let's get it.